Hello and welcome everyone to episode 114 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, and always a pleasure to come on here and talk about One Piece.
Oh, absolutely, because surprise if you were reading along with us, Sabaody's over.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll get into it when we get into it, but like I don't think anybody thought this is how things would go. So
no, I reading at the time, like, you knew it was desperate, but it, like you got that breather with Rayleigh, and then all of a sudden,
yeah.
Oh no, you thought you were safe. You are not safe. So very interesting there. But yeah, let's get to it because there's quite a bit to cover. A lot of action, but there's a lot of implications here to talk about. So, chapter 511, Axe Carrying Sentomaru. And we see Rob Lucci taking care of these candy pirates with no issue.
I love how he just strolls up, just kind of got it like just right after getting out of the hospital. It's the most like casual one kick.
And some of the other CP9 members are helping out too, because we see the staff of Kumadori and somebody's doing a finger poke to the left. So like these pirates stood no chance.
Of course, absolutely not.
Yeah, about what you expected, but we begin the chapter with the defeat of this fake Kuma. Everybody is exhausted, just breathing just heavy,
like taking a breather. Like, of course, poor Luffy, still suffering the after effects of Gear 3. So
it's just, yeah, it is. They're just. I don't think we've seen the team this wiped out since, like, in its entirety, since Alabasta, where everybody's just sort of exhausted and they just fall asleep in the rain. Like, you get that sense here, too.
And that was just one guy.
Yeah, all of them against one guy rather than an entire team. Everybody's just sort of wondering, like, what the heck is he? And Frankie's trying to figure out. I was like, well, he's a cyborg, so he must be a human who looks identical to Kuma. So either they're twins or he was modified to look like him. It's not like they can create humans from scratch. We're like,
Yeah, and then Sanji notices the PX4 kind of on the tattoo. On his neck.
On the neck, and it's like, what is that all about? And Luffy's just like, hey, let's rest a bit before we have to split up because we didn't think we'd have to fight like that right off the bat.
3 days, guys, 3 days.
3 days they have to last. And all of a sudden, somebody calls out, "You've really done it this time." They're like, "What? What's going on?" Yeah. And then, bam! Straight in the middle of them is Sentomaru and another Kuma.
Yes, and I want to point out here because we've got the little like introduction box. This is Sentomaru, Navy Headquarters Science Team Captain, Dr. Vegapunk's bodyguard.
Yes, so we have another hit link to Vegapunk, and Sentomaru is very much a strange design, like the giant axe wrapped in like rope, and then almost sort of like just as we learn, sort of see, he's kind of sumo-ish, but he has like
he's like a sumo wrestler basically.
Yeah, I don't know, his body doesn't strike me as sumo wrestler right off the bat for whatever reason. And maybe it's the covering on the front.
Well, then I guess also the other important detail is, first thing he says when he shows up, he's just like, look at you PX4, you're pitiful. You Pacifistas each cost as much as an entire battleship.
Oh my god. Oh god, that's yeah. So we've learned what a Pacifista is, and for those wondering about the backup, I think we can assume the backup that they were referring to while they were still at the human auction are the Pacifistas.
Yeah. So here we go. Which, like, I feel like we probably have enough story context at this point to say that these are probably cyborgs. Do you think that's or I guess android cyborg? I'm actually not quite sure.
I'm more of the idea of androids.
Yeah. I think they're just full on robots. Although, like, yeah, it just. Definitely I actually don't remember / don't quite know because Frankie kind of says it's not like they can create humans from scratch. So I don't know if these are like actually like did they take like bodies to modify them, or are they just like full on robots? I'm actually not entirely sure myself, but
We've heard mention of the Pacifistas, but to see they're just basically copies of Kuma,
Yeah.
who is proven to be the most threatening of the warlords that we've encountered so far.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god, you turned this guy into multiple weapons.
Yeah, that's not good. That said, we got a nice freak out face by Chopper when he's upon thing where his hat flies off along with his antlers. Makes him look very freaky.
Yeah. I do love this bit with Frankie's just like, who are you, axe boy? And Sentomaru says, don't identify me by my weapon. It's no use trying to get information out of me. I have nothing to tell you. I'm the most offensive man in the world.
Well, why don't you name yourself at least? But I have nothing to tell you. I've already told you I'm the most offensive man in the world. Sentomaru. So your name's Sentomaru. Wait, yeah. I told you that on purpose.
It's funny because he's very deadpan.
Yeah.
but also
he's not
also
goofy,
still,
but he also kind of is.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's still able to. He rolls with it. It's sort of funny in its own way.
Mm-hmm. But the jokes, they're not really lingered on the humor because let's get going PX1 and here come the laser beams.
Yeah, and they just start. Yeah, and then basically like Luffy's just like, yeah, we got to get out of here.
we can't go together. Split up, and let's just go and. Basically, he talks to Sanji and Zoro. It's like, three of us should go separately, each take care of our own section. And of course, Sanji's like, I'll protect you, Nami.
Yeah.
Frankie's just like, hey, if you're prepared to risk your life, be the decoy for all of us. Like, hey, ladies only, idiot.
Yeah.
And of course, I thought this was very fascinating. Whereas Usopp sort of doing his typical thing where it's like, Zoro, protect me as hard as you can. And he climbs on top, and Zoro's just like, wait, Usopp, I'm really... And
yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and that's when Brook comes in. It's like, hey, I'll cover for you, since he saw that Zoro's still not in great shape.
Yeah, man.
And so Chopper and Robin go with Luffy, and they all just split up in three different ways and trying to prevent. And Usopp gets off a smoke star, and they're like, okay, let's go. When all of a sudden the bridge explodes, and here comes PX1 after Sanji's group. And Luffy's worried about them, but that's when Satomaru shows up. I was like, I have no grudge against you, but... And Luffy tries to use his Gum Gun Gatling, does nothing. He just
bounces completely right off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What's that about?
That is not great, and that's when he does the sumo strike, sends Luffy flying back. Who comments like, there's something weird about his attacks where, yeah, Luffy seems to actually be affected by physical... attacks. And here's the weird thing, it's like, I'm not a devil fruit user.
Yeah, that's what Sentomaru says he's not a devil fruit user. So mysteries on mysteries coming on here.
Yeah, so abilities just coming out being like, what are they actually doing? What is happening here?
Yeah. And well, we saw that like PX1 went after Sanji's group and Sentomaru went after Luffy's group. So who's after Zoro's group?
Well, that'd be the person who just blew up Zoro.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to protect him. It's like, someone just calls out. It's like, you finally made it over, old man Kizaru. And that's what got to get Robin's attention. It's just
like, oh, God.
That's an admiral.
Yeah.
And here's Kizaru just commenting about Zoro. It's like, it only took one hit to knock you out. You must have been tired. Well, go rest. And he's ready to just outright kill him.
Yeah, he's just charging up a beam just like at his foot.
Basically stomp him out, literally. And Brook is trying to like pierce him with his sword. Usopp is trying to hit him with the Kabuto. Nothing is working. He's a Logia type because he ate the glint fruit and became a man made of light.
As we supposed last week. But
we just have an official name now.
Yeah, and then now we have Robin with the quick thinking, using her Viente Fleurs to like roll Zoro away. But then Kizaru just like stomps on Zoro and is just like, no, you're not moving.
No, you're not going anywhere. So Zoro's about to die when all of a sudden we get a page turn, and here's Rayleigh out of nowhere kicking Kizaru's leg away, sending it blasting into the distance.
Note that he can hit him.
Yeah, after all that, Rayleigh's actually able to hit him. So, once again, gives the idea of like, what the hell is this old man's powers?
Yeah, and then I love that guy because he shows up right in the nick of time, and then you just see that panel of the beam firing off into the distance, just like, oh God, that was about to hit Zoro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zoro was going to die. There's no doubt about that. But I love this line that it ends with is like, don't pick the buds before they sprout. Their era is only just beginning.
God, Rayleigh's just so impossibly cool.
Yeah, he really is.
He's just the best.
I love it.
Coming in with the save.
Yeah. Just harrowing, but fun. It's just like, oh God, what's happening? What's going to happen next? It's just, oh my. We do have another SBS with Mayumi Tanaka, voice of Luffy, and got some fun ones. Like, do you actually eat stuff while you're voicing Luffy? He's like, yes, I always eat the stuff that Adachi drew while I'm voice acting. It's like, do you pick your nose when Luffy picks his nose? I was like, no, I always go for realism. I love how they're in on the joke. It's
yeah, it's all very fun.
My favorite one though is like Luffy has a lot of lines where he shouts. Do those make you tired? Is like, oh, I use up some strength every time I shout and it makes me shorter. So during the recording for the first episode, I was 175 centimeters tall, but after 10 years, I'm now 147 centimeters tall. Which, considering it's 10 years and it's probably been another 10 years at this point.
Yeah, she's only shrinking even further.
She's just getting smaller and smaller. Thank you for that levity, Mayumi Tanaka.
Yes.
Because we're going to need it. Because chapter 512, Zoro gone.
Well, considering he just survived a blast, just barely dodging a blast from Kizaru, what could that mean?
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, we got the CP9 just taking out the rest of the pirates on their ship.
This is hilarious. I just love the shot of this. It's just like all the townspeople cheering. They're just wreaking all kinds of havoc on the candy pirate ship.
Yeah, they stand. I like that. Oh God, I forget his name, but the zipper mouth guy is just not even doing anything. He's just sort of cheering with the crowd.
Yeah,
enjoying the attention. But into it itself, we see the after effect of the blast, where it's just a bunch of buildings just leveled.
Man, it sometimes it just feels like these guys, like between Kizaru and Rayleigh, it's just like these guys are operating on a completely different level.
For sure. And I also like the with this wide shot, you really get to see how far apart each of them are.
Yeah. They're all kind of, how do I want to put this? Like they're all far enough that I feel like you couldn't just like go out and help. They're all far enough they're kind of on their own. Yeah.
They've split up enough where they can't help each other, but there's also their own problem to deal with at every turn. And man, you just get an interesting conversation between Kizaru and Rayleigh. He's like, there were rumors that you were still around, and it's like, hey, I'd be able to live out the rest of my life in peace if you just took away the bounty. It's like, no, your crimes as a pirate won't disappear, especially because you were part of the Roger Pirates.
I feel like, and that's sort of the. I guess the statute of limitations does not exist in this world. Where like, hey man, that was like 20 years ago at this point. Like, let me go. Just chill.
Yeah. I was like, nah. Yeah. No, not gonna do that. And I like Brooks' comment is like, how was he able to stop him when we had no effect?
Yeah.
And Kizaru's just like, I'm not going to let him go because I have to catch him, or else the celestial dragons at the headquarters just won't be satisfied. So yeah, don't interfere.
Yeah. They want heads to roll.
Yeah. And Luffy, again, he knows they just have to escape. It's like, Usopp, Brook, take Zoro, run. And everybody run away, look after yourselves right now. We cannot defeat them. And
yeah, which is gotta be a first for Luffy to just like to take note of the situation and be like, we're in over our heads, guys. Like that feels, even Kizaru says like he admits it like a man, but that's annoying. It's just like, this is the one that we can't win.
Yeah, we've had that so many times where we've had Luffy fight crocodiles, like I'll knock him flat, or take on Rob Lucci, I'll knock him flat. There's always that confidence that he can beat the big bad. This is the first time we've seen it like, no, we can't do this. We got to regroup. And this is after his power up with the gears. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh dear God. But Frankie trying to get away from PX1 with his coup d'event, blasting him away, and they start taking off, and Rayleigh's just wishing him luck. And that's when Kizaru's like, yeah, you're not going away. He's trying to use his sacred Yata Mir, but Rayleigh, with his sword, able to stop him somehow.
Which is wild, considering Kizaru is light. He can teleport, basically.
Yeah. And then Kizaru makes his own light sword, which looks boss as hell.
Yeah. Which we're just getting like a freaking lightsaber duel.
Pretty much. And
Yeah.
even still, somehow Rayleigh's able to make Kizaru bleed.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that.
He cuts his cheek slightly.
Yeah. And then I love that, the Kizaru was like, I didn't expect such a serious situation when it came to this island. And Rayleigh's just like, confusion is what life is all about.
Oh my god. I even Sentomaru was like, I've never seen anyone able to stop Kizaru. So PX1, Zoro's dying, go after them, help out. Let's take it out. And we see some of the, I guess, display for this PX1 where he's like actually able to note their name and say how much they're worth.
Their bounty. Yeah. Does that raises the question, what do you think PX1 recognizes Sanji? Is it based off of the wanted posters?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Which is kind of just like, I wonder if he just didn't recognize Sanji, or didn't, or like chose to go after Zoro because he's just like, oh, Sanji, not in the database.
It would be funny, but would have seen the old version of Duval and be like, Sanji.
Yeah.
But here, I do like this though for Sanji's character because he's always about I'm only going to protect the ladies. But here he says, Frankie, take care of Nami, going without me. And he goes specifically to help Usopp, Brook, and Zoro.
Yeah, see, he does care. I say that all of the time, but it's always fun to point out where he's just like, no, you protect yourself. And then here he goes, realizing that he's needed.
And Zoro's still just like, hey, put me down. I'll let you guys escape. And it's like, yeah, no, Luffy's orders. I'm not putting you down. So, yeah. And even Brook says, go on without me. A man has to stand up and do what's right when the time comes. And then he gets blasted and just completely disregarded.
Yeah, I broke a boat over nothing.
But Sanji coming in with a kick to the back of the head, knocking him down. Though even he realizes, like, I can't do the Diable Jambe much longer or my foot will get messed up.
Yeah, man, everybody is just at their limit here.
Mm-hmm. And Sanji gets blasted. We see the explosions in the distance as Luffy is running from Sentomaru. They're all down. They're the only one still kind of standing at this point is Usopp of that group.
He dropped to Zoro by mistake. It's just like, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And Luffy's attention is fully on them. And Sentomaru is able to come up from behind and it's like, I don't even need my axe, and just sumo strikes Luffy into the ground and sends him flying.
Which, again, recapping from last chapter, just like, yeah, why are the blood strikes working? Luffy's made of rubber, so they shouldn't be hitting him. It's
not getting much better because Sanji just got blasted through, like pierced with the freaking light beam from PX1. And then Usopp gets blasted by the light beam while he's carrying Zoro.
Yeah, and Chopper's just seeing all of this and is just freaking out.
He's like, everyone is going to die. And he just screams out, stop it. And takes the double rumble ball and goes into his monstrous form again.
Yeah,
that's how desperate things are.
Yeah, exactly.
Robin has heard about it, but I don't know how, considering Chopper invented the rumble ball. But okay, sure.
Well, I think probably just heard it in passing from the other crewmates.
Oh,
I guess during Inia's lobby, she probably wouldn't have been able to see it.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. And Usopp recognizes, like, hey, we have to get back from there. He's going to shoot the beam again, and that's when the actual Kuma shows up, saying, "Wait, PX1."
And, Usopp's freaking out. How many more of them are there? But Zoro is he immediately is like, that's the real thing.
He's holding a Bible. That's the real one.
Yeah.
And that's he just has a conversation. It's like, so you were alive, Roanoa. And Zoro's just like, hey, it's all thanks to your benevolence. We have to go. And that's when we get the classic question. If you were to take a trip, where would you want to go? And blip. That's it. Zoro's gone.
Gone. Well, there's the title drop.
Yeah.
But what happened there?
Yeah. He just got blinked out the same way as Perona.
Yeah.
It's like Zoro is the first to fall. Granted, he had the most damage on him by far. But
yeah.
There's...
I can't rather than trying to unpack the implications of that, I think it's probably better if we just move on to the next chapter.
Yeah, I think that we can unpack the implications once we get to this next chapter, which is the last of the Sabaody arc. 513, Beyond Rescue. And Yeah, Rob Lucci hasn't really changed much. It's still his excessive justice, where he's just still kicking this pirate.
Again, he just got out of the hospital. He's just like, all right,
and the
time
people
to
are
get
just
to work.
kind of horrified at how he's. Just...
Oh right, yeah, because last time they were cheering. They were like, "Woo, yeah, go get him!" And they're just like, "Oh my god, please stop,
stop! He's already dead."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's there's Kuma, and they're just like, Zoro's gone. What did you do with Zoro? He was right here. Yep. And Chopper is still running wild. Luffy realizes that Zoro's gone. And that's when Kizaru is like, hey, Kuma, the 7 warlords have been summoned to the headquarters. It just shows you can never trust pirates. And Rayleigh's like, I need to help that side too. But he's like...
Yeah, and that's sort of the problem is that, like, Rayleigh could help, but he is, he's keeping Kizaru at bay. So, like, he's kind of stuck.
Yeah. You cannot leave Kizaru alone. And these... warlords are the Pacifistas and Kuma himself are nothing to scoff at. So
yeah.
And Nami immediately recognizes, that's the real Kuma. Mm-hmm. And she wonders, I wonder what happened to that girl that got disappeared. Sentomaru's like, why is he here? Luffy's asking, what did he do to Zoro? Where'd he go? And Sentomaru just says, they say anyone Kuma touches with his paws goes flying for 3 days and nights, but no one knows if that's actually true. Only Kuma himself knows where they go. But one thing's for sure, it's somewhere you can easily... It's not somewhere you can easily get to from here. They could have been hurled to the far side of the ocean. So, yeah. If he is just sent flying and not teleported, he is just gone. Like, they cannot reach him.
Yeah, which I feel like is sort of your indication of why he asks people, like, if you were, where would you want to go if you wanted to go on a vacation? Which I think is funny considering, like, back in Thriller Bark, like, that was the first thing he said to Moria, where he's just like, I'm going to send you halfway across the planet if I have to.
Yeah, I will. Oh, gotta love it. And they're just... I think Usopp's just freaking... Or maybe... I can't tell if it's Sanji or Usopp, but they're like... This is the real Kuma. We fought 3 of them already.
Yeah, seriously.
And Usopp's about to get taken out by PX1 from behind, and that's when Kuma comes up and also poofs him away, saying, "Don't interfere." He gets rid of the PX1,
and we get this. Sentomaru's just like, "Why are you erasing your own people?" Which really, that's sort of the fascinating thing about this whole sequence, because you're just like, why is he here? And even, Kizaru's just like, you're not supposed to be here right now.
He is very much acting of his own devices. And what is happening here? It's like, all right, we got to get out of here. We'll come up with a plan once we're safe. We'll have to worry about Zoro later. So they're all trying to make the run for it. And here comes Kuma, and Brook's like trying to protect with his life, and then gone.
He said, I'll protect you with my life. Oh, but I'm already dead. Poof.
Yeah. And I do want to take a little break here to talk about Brook, because one of the things we noticed right away was Brook with Thriller Bark was introduced pretty much at the beginning of it and had a role the entire way through. And you can tell with this moment, that's by design, because if it was only by the end and all that other stuff, like if Oda hadn't had him like, yes, I'll join you right at the beginning, it would have prevented people from really connecting with Brook and making him feel like part of the crew, because he becomes part of the crew and 20-ish chapters later he's separated from them.
Yeah, although I still kind of maintain that he is by far he got the least amount to do, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, it was just sort of like, by the time he was really feeling like a part of the crew, and now he's gone. And that I feel like in a way that we'll get to when we get to, but like it does sort of make his character feel a little superfluous at times, just kind of because he had the least amount of time with everybody.
Right, because the thing is, we had him gel with the crew as far as the antics, but but not really much with fights. We saw him put a few people to sleep and try to help out, but a lot of times Brook comes across as kind of ineffective.
Yeah, I mean, I say that I love Brook. First off, but I think it's just more
personality wise. He's great. Like I said, he integrated well. It's just fighting wise.
Yeah, I feel like it's just more. It's like an unfortunate victim of timing. It feels like.
Yeah, especially because he's also a swordsman. So it just makes him feel not as unique. Again,
Yeah.
love Brook, and I really am curious to see what more is done with him.
That's sort of my problem. It takes a while. It takes a while. At least for me, it felt like a very, very long time until I was like, okay, like Brook finally got like his, like, we got it, you know. So, but for right now, he's gone.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it of course freaks out Usopp, freaks out Luffy, and Sanji's is like, what am I doing? Two of our crew got erased right before me, and he's like, Usopp, run, and Luffy's like, Sanji, run, and Sanji tries to attack, gets repelled away. Usopp tries to help with his exploding star, doesn't do anything, and poof, there's Usopp.
Usopp's gone too.
Sanji tries to protect him and avenge him. Poof, Sanji's gone.
Yeah, Zoro, Brook, Usopp, Sanji, all gone, all erased,
and just the look on Luffy's face.
Yeah, just the pure
what do
despair.
I do?
Yeah,
and Rayleigh really wants to help them, but the years have slowed him down. So it's like they're completely next to each other, and there's nothing they can do. And Kuma actually talks to Rayleigh a bit. Rayleigh just says, "You expect me to believe you're the real Kuma? That's up to you. I'm endangering my position by doing this." And even Kizaru's like, what's the meaning of this? And it's like, in matters that don't involve the government, I'm not required to cooperate with the Navy. I won't answer your question.
oh boy.
He has his own agenda, and
he does.
God knows what that is.
Juicy. It's so juicy.
It is so different from anybody else, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Again, like with many things, like I keep saying, just keep that tucked in the back of your head.
For sure.
We'll come back to it in a very, 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 very long time.
Oh, I'm sure. Frankie's the next one to attempt to fight Kuma, and Luffy's powering up for his gear second, even though he's exhausted, to try to take him down. And nope, he reflects gear 2, reflects Luffy, and then Frankie's gone. And Nami calls out, and Nami's gone. And you even got that help from Nami, and that honestly, to me, it feels like Luffy seems the most affected by Nami. But of course, this is just a build up, like person after person,
everybody,
crewmate after crewmate gone. And he tries to go after Kuma, but Kuma just teleports away right next to Chopper and Robin. And here comes Chopper in his beast form. We saw how effective that was. Nope, poof.
Yeah, just you can't. He's untouchable. Like. It's just we saw him before, you know, and the way that he basically like, you know, set off a nuke at Thriller Bark, but like this is sort of devastating in its own way, just the way that he can just, you know, basically like Thanos snap anybody out of existence. Just
like, I guess it is proto Thanos snap. Yeah,
because it's just I think there's something so like surgical and just like. Because he doesn't really talk while he's doing this. He's just kind of like one after the other. You, then you, then you, then you. And it feels so like kind of impersonal. Yeah. And cold.
And it's so desperate. Luffy, it's really just taking a piece of Luffy away one by one.
Bit by bit.
And you can just see it in his reactions.
It's kind of like that scene from movie 6.
Yeah, it very much is. It does have that reminiscence to it. And yeah, Robin tries to run. Nope. Poof. And it's only Luffy, and God, it hits you so hard. It's just like, what's wrong with me? I couldn't save any of them.
Yeah, and he is just in tears. And again, the reactions from the Navy folks are interesting, where Shintamaro is just like, you know, you better explain what's going on, you know, and Kizaru is just like, this is a real problem. Like, there's something here, like there's something going on here that clearly was not part of the plan for the Navy folks either. Mm-hmm. But then you just get that last bit where, you know, Kuma goes up to Luffy and he's just like, we'll never see each other again. Farewell. And just poofs him out of existence too.
My God, what an amazing way to end a chapter. Grove 12, Sabaody Archipelago, the Grand Line. That day, the Straw Hat Pirates, led by Captain Monkey D. Luffy, were eradicated.
And what a way to end a chapter.
Yeah.
And what a way to end an arc. Like I joked before we started recording, this is the bad ending.
Yeah. They lost. That's it for Sabaody. It is over.
Yeah. And that's I mean, because now obviously I think if you're reading this for the first time, it's just like, okay, what happens now? Like, obviously they're going to have to pick up the pieces somehow, but like, I don't know. You spent over 500 chapters like seeing Luffy like fight for his friends and slowly amass this crew of friends, and they're all going on this like grand adventure together, and you never would have thought like, oh, like that's it. Like they were overpowered, and I guess it's again kind of like about how Oda doesn't kill villains, because it's like, well, like there are things worse than death in One Piece, where like your fundamental kind of like your worldview, your beliefs, like those getting crushed, I think could be more powerful than death. And I think that's what we kind of saw here with the Straw Hats. We're like, this was, for all intents and purposes, like the death of the Straw Hat crew. Like,
yeah,
obviously they're still alive.
Yeah, it's just a question of whether or not they can pick up the pieces.
Yeah,
what it takes to pick up those pieces, essentially.
Like where do you even go from here? Like we've seen how big the One Piece world is. Like, we don't know where anybody went.
It took
if even
500 chapters to get this crew together. What does it take to get them back? And and there's a little bit more I want to say regarding Kuma, but I think I should wait until we get into the next chapter. But it's one of those things where it's a shocking moment, and it's why Sabaody is so well remembered, because it starts off light and fun and happy, and then we get all these new characters, and then we get like, oh god, there's all this lore happening all around, and oh boy, we have to survive for 3 days, and got this admiral coming, but I'm sure they can pull it off. It'll take some doing and some trickery, but they'll probably be able to handle it, so they can get to the second half of the Grand Line. No.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we don't know how the other supernovas made it out as either, if they made it out.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess because they all had to deal with just like, well, Kizaru took out like 4 of them, but then he left. So maybe they're, maybe they're all right. Who knows?
I mean, Law and Kid were fighting one of the Pacifistas, so they could be all right, but I mean, we don't know. And that's the crazy thing, is they introduce all of this just to make it disappear.
Yeah. No. I remember reading this for the first time and just being like, I was in shock. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I didn't think Oda had it in him, really, like in terms of, again, not just of like, oh, I guess because you think again, like, oh, what's the worst that could happen? Like, oh yeah, these characters aren't going to die. Obviously, right. As we've seen time and time again, like they've cheated death multiple times, but
it took until the fight with Crocodile to make it feel like Luffy could actually lose a fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so here, I feel like that's what makes this so good, though, is that it's like it feels like Oda's paying off on the tension. Like, no, there was no way they could have made it out of here. Like, there have been, he's shown that there are situations where they can just like overcome it by pure grit, but that can only get them so far, and it feels like they've been hit with like the harsh realities of the world.
Yeah,
and
it's like they could handle the Grand Line. They're not ready for the new world.
Yeah, and all of this because Luffy punched a celestial dragon,
but to save their friend.
Yeah, which worth it.
Yeah,
all for that punch, worth it. But it really. I guess it really shows like the Navy and the Celestial Dragons and the world government, like they mean business. Like, this is
can mess stuff. You up.
Yeah. So obviously this is a really sad moment in terms of in the whole story, but like in terms of consequences, I love it. As a choice, I love it, but this is of course just like, ooh, it's sad. And I don't remember the number off the top of my head. The anime version of this episode is incredible. The voice acting adds
I'm
so
sure.
much.
I'm likely going to have Luffy screaming. as that.
Yeah, it's the animation's fantastic. They did such a good job with this.
But time to get to our next arc, which I guess we do learn the name of it by the end of these 2 chapters. So yes, we are entering the Amazon Lily arc with chapter 514, Body Parasite Mushrooms, which. Okay.
Yeah. An odd chapter title after what just happened.
Right? But CP9, they went a little too hard on these pirates. So I was like, yeah, we can't stay in this town any longer. We got to go.
Yeah, we got to leave.
So
maybe a little overkill.
Who knows what's up next for them. But either way, we're not quite done with Sabaody, as we see Duval waiting with the Thousand Sunnies. Like, hey, they're late. I mean, maybe they had some trouble, or we got to stay alert. We got to make sure that nobody steals this ship. We will protect it and until the Coding Craftsman comes. So
ride or die, man.
Yeah,
I feel like, again, freaking Oda, man, just like, oh, we had this like stupid little diversion with Duval, it was just building up to this dumb joke, and then here we are, just like, we have to protect, ride or die for the Straw Hats, man. Like,
protect their ship, which, yeah.
Rosy Life Riders, they're the unsung MVPs.
Yeah, protecting the Sunny that we just got, so.
Yeah.
But then we go to back to the Grove 1 at the human auction house. The only celestial dragon that is not knocked out, thanks to Haki, which apparently, doesn't damage him, just, passes him out for a little bit. She's not happy. You allowed our slaves to escape. You allowed the blasphemous way father and brother were treated. The blood of the creators flows through our veins. Who do you think we are? When they're captured, I'll make sure they'll suffer the agonies of hell.
She's going full Karen.
Oh, yeah. She is not happy.
I want to speak to the manager. Even though she is the manager.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, these guys are looking a little rough. Good.
Which I feel like, again, you sort of feel it with the way that, like, Kizaru was talking to Kuma last chapter, was just kind of like, this is a real problem. Because it's like, yeah, the Celestial Dragons are probably going to come down on him now. Just like, why couldn't you capture him? Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Kizaru may be powerful, but he's not a Celestial Dragon.
Yeah, so it's just like, all right, they just went poof.
Yeah, gotta deal with them complaining and all that. So, but we then go to Shaki's bar. And, of course, Hachi's worried about everyone. And there's like, no, they'll be okay. They're strong. And that's when Shaki's like, I don't know. I hope so. They're up against an admiral. It's not enough to be strong. We're sailing in dangerous waters from here on. A big wave like no one's ever seen before is heading this way. They can't let it swamp them. Can you hear it? And it's like, oh, boy, we got some some stuff coming up because the times are about to become as rough as these seas. And
that's so ominous.
Yeah. Oh, boy. That is... That'll be interesting. But instead, we next get a 2-page spread where, on the other hand, thanks to Bartholomew Kuma, Luffy is now... And we just see him flying through the air. Not teleported. What Sentomaru said was true. He's just flying through the air, which honestly makes me think of that really weird Xbox 360 commercial where it's about the baby being born and launched through the sky, and he's like going up until he lands in the grave.
Yeah. God.
It's a terrible commercial.
That thing. Yeah.
But this absolutely works better here.
Yeah.
And it also kind of works as a decompression where he's just calling out for everybody that got poofed. Where is everybody? Where did everybody disappear to? That warlord is going to pay for this. And how far am I going to fly?
Yeah. It's just like he's angry and he's just like, what the heck's going on?
He's like, well, maybe the others weren't erased either. Maybe they're all flying through the air like me. And it's like, well, if I come down in the ocean, I'm dead. And he's just sleeping as he's flying.
In midair. Some much needed levity.
Yeah.
Really.
And also giving him time to sort of calm down and reset to a degree. Yeah. To sort of think things over. And, understand that, okay, they're not dead. Which, this is the thing I wanted to mention about Kuma. Mm-hmm. Kuma may have separated them, but let's be real. He saved them.
Yes.
Without Kuma, they would have died.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's really the sort of like the whole thing about like, yeah, he definitely has ulterior motives. And that's sort of the thing too. Like I remember the exact scene. We're not going to get to it for a while, but like they will all kind of come to that conclusion. Like, yeah, Kuma kind of saved our bacon that time. But again, the sort of the hows and whys Oda's he's gonna keep that close to his chest for a really long time.
I am not surprised, but eventually Luffy wakes up and finds himself landing on something like nice land. But I love that the giant paw print hits, sort of cushioning the fall, and then he lands. So
Yeah,
that's how they survive.
Although the landing still looks kind of painful.
Yeah, it's not exactly comfortable, but
yeah, it breaks his fall.
And Luffy's just like, hey, I'm alive. I don't think I'm alive just because I'm made of rubber. So, and it's like, what's going on? I hope the others are okay. So I was like, all right, time to get back to him. And hey, I got the Viva cards. So we know how to get back to Sabaody. So we're just going to go this way. And I love how this giant boar is just watching the entire time.
Right, and Luffy's just flashbacking, where he's just like, we can't beat those guys. I couldn't save any of them, and he's just, screaming out.
Mm-hmm. He's just getting his frustrations out, and I love how the pig is thinking like, dinner.
Right? Yeah. He's just like, I'm gonna eat this guy.
He's like, oh, it's a dead end. Oh, the card's pointing this way, so he just uses his gigant pistol to make a hole through the wall, which freaks out the pig, but also says, darn, I'm too weak. I need food. Sanji, food. Wait, he's not here. And he sees the pig, and the next panel, nope, he ate that thing completely.
Yeah. I love Luffy's just like, it's just like when Grandpa left me in the jungle when I was a little kid. I want to remember that. Just the implications of that.
Explains some things, that's for sure.
It does, yep.
And then he sees a laughing mushroom. He's like, hey, these things are great for times like this. Like, everything seems funny, even though I'm all alone. Oh, hey, here's another weird one growing. He's like, oh, now I'm getting mad, so I need another laughter one. He's like, oh, here's another weird mushroom. So he's just eating mushrooms.
Eating mushrooms, well, yeah.
And that's when we get a character named Marguerite and two others, where they discover Luffy, and mushrooms are growing out of everywhere from him. In his mouth, out of his hair, out of his eyes. Good God.
And the key point, they think Luffy, they call him she.
Yeah.
See? She ate this mushroom, and you're just like, oh dear.
The body parasite mushroom gets our chapter titles. Like, that eating them causes mushrooms to spread all over your body. This is an emergency. They'll suck all the life force out of her. And I don't know. I don't remember this character's name yet, but I love her. She's like, chapter, an emergency. Chapter.
Yeah,
what is that thing?
Chapter is just like her gimmick, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And it's at this point that Oda gets to sort of flex and show, like, I can draw different types of women.
Yeah, so many different types.
Yeah, because we get the chapter taking her back to the village, and we see all of them, like different face shapes, different body types. Some are attractive, some are not. It doesn't matter. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. Really,
I like the variety. It's unlike a lot of other Amazon societies. Usually all the women are hot.
Right. Yeah. No, but Oda commits. He's just this is a society of all different types, and I think that rules.
Yeah, it is quite cool, and we see the treatment. So we got to pull them all off. They should come right off, but there's some of the roots are still there. So don't worry about the roots. We'll burn them off. So what do?
Oh, poor Luffy!
They light Luffy on fire.
Yep.
It's the only way to keep them from growing back, and she passed out again. It's like, besides the mushrooms, she's covered in wounds. Like, looks like she's beaten a fierce battle. I'll have to treat them too. So we get this doctor here.
Yep.
And then we have to wash her in a river. So
and then the mushrooms was all just a build up to this joke.
Yes, it was amazing, and I love that. We've learned that the one that goes chapter, her name is Sweet Pea, and we get to chapter 1 left. It's like, it looks different from the others. I can't pull it off. It just stretches. Well, good thing we got that SBS talking about whether that can stretch or not.
Yeah, we already know.
And that gets the interest of all the ladies nearby, which most of them are in their like bikinis and whatnot. For whatever reason, Marguerite is topless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm all right. But they're all just like, well, what are you doing there? Is this in the show? It's like, well, you're looking too. There's something wrong. She's so flat. She looks kind of rugged. And that's when an old lady shows up and she's like, Grandma Neon.
Grandma Neon, yeah.
It's like, hey, there's a mushroom we can't pull off. It's a mushroom. This is a man.
Yeah, I love the build up. This Grandma Neon's face. Listen to me. This person is a man. And they're all just, what? I've never seen a man before.
Luffy's poor mushroom. Although I guess it's a good thing he can stretch.
Yeah. Otherwise they would have really tried to take it off.
But this is when we get the name of this place. The nation of Kuja is a tribe of woman warriors. This is Amazon Lily, the island of women. And Kuja stands for 9 snakes, which explains why there's snakes all over them too.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of Adam and Eve references.
Yeah, and of course, men are absolutely forbidden. If any man sets foot on this island, he forfeits his life. So, Luffy, we don't know where all the other Straw Hats have landed, but Luffy somehow ended up on the island of women,
which is where Sanji would have wanted to be.
Yes, of course. We'll get to that. Don't worry.
Oh, goodness. We do have an SBS talking about Khalifa wearing the criminal brand that we noticed before.
Oh, yeah.
Why would a human be wearing that? Because, the connotation was with Fishman Island. So yeah, that is indeed Papaku's brand Criminal, and Khalifa likes brand name clothing. Criminal is very popular in Fishman Island, but it is sold on dry land too. Even Zoro was wearing it for a while, but also noting that Criminal can also mean star in Japanese kanji. So that's why it's star-shaped.
Huh.
Gotta love the wordplay.
I'll have to look that up later.
Yeah.
My brain can't make the connection, but sure, whatever.
We also get a birthday for Cammy, November 3rd, because of the K and the rhyming with 3. So there you go.
Yeah, of course. Just good old Japanese puns.
Oh, yeah. But time for our final chapter, 515, Adventure on the Island of Women. And I don't understand this one fully, because we have this little girl giving a flower to Khalifa, and everybody else around Khalifa is freaking out.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why. I wonder if we'll find out in the next one, or I'm not quite sure.
Maybe because Khalifa's supposed to be harsh and unforgiving, but she'll actually be kind to this girl.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get a read on it.
Yeah. And this is the most narration we've gotten in a while, which is necessary because we don't have anybody that can really explain these things.
Right, yeah. We don't have Robin here.
Yeah, we could just keep things going. So this is Amazon Lily, a nation of only women. Now and then, one of the women ventures to the outer oceans and returns with a baby in her belly. For some mysterious reason, only female children are born here. In the dense jungles that surround the island's high mountain, there is a big hole. The village here is built like a fortress and functions as a city-state. So 2 things. 1, these are Gerudo.
Yeah.
And then 2nd, I love this 2-page spread. This looks awesome.
Yeah, I love this particular set of world building pages, especially since again we don't have Luffy and the gang to just what's this, what's that, so we do kind of have to let the narrator really kind of I love seeing this peek at daily life, and I love how Japanese the architecture is on Amazon Lily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cliffside and all those aspects, and the snake iconography. Yeah. It
really feels cool.
Yeah, it feels like a lived-in place, and it's I don't know, it's cool to see the societies. All the work is performed by women. You see how strong they are, where they're pulling up the giant fish and they're calling them small fry. We got blacksmiths and everything else is they're raised to be warriors from birth. They're hardy and strong, but they also possess their own unique elegance. Those greedy, foolish creatures called men have no place in this paradise. The women here are strong, and in this land, strength is beauty. And we see this arena where this big, obviously not good-looking woman just punched the heck out of this beautiful woman. Is no, she's considered the more beautiful one.
Yeah.
Because she's strong.
Right, and just, again, if a man were come to this island, he would simply be snuffed out. Or just
It is a very good thing Sanji did not come here.
Yeah, no, he would have died. But first from nosebleeds and then an actual death. But I guess it's just it seems like this. We'll get an explanation in a little bit, but it's just this place is very remote, it seems and it's just they don't have to worry about men coming here because they'll just beat them up.
Yeah, they'll beat the hell out of them, which cool.
Yeah.
Luffy finally wakes up, and they're all surrounding his cell, and they're just he moved. And his chest is totally flat. And he's rugged. And his hair is a mess. And he's so thin, I bet he's really weak. And that's when you realize, oh, Luffy's naked.
Yes. He just wakes up and he's naked.
He was out for quite a while, but he was eating in his sleep. What do men eat anyway? Raw meat?
Yeah. I love this because it does feel like a very in One Piece humor kind of way, but it is here's a society of women who've most of them have never seen a man before, so they're just I don't know. I don't even know what to expect. Like, are all men like this?
It's like a zoo at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, they put him in a prison, and it's just like Luffy's a caged animal. And they're all just like, ooh, ah.
And of course, the first thing Luffy realizes is that he doesn't have his hat, and he sees it on Sweet Pea, so he reaches through the bar and grabs it.
He's like, his arm stretched.
What's he made of? Are all men's? No, I'm gonna make a note of this. Men's arms can stretch like rubber. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, I love the girl taking notes at all of this. It's great.
And it's like, hey, I'm naked. Oh, he's dumb too. It's does anybody know where my clothes are? It's like, well, men aren't very smart and they care more about covering their heads than their bodies.
Yes, it's gotten the completely wrong indication. And of course, here we have, Marguerite. She's just like, before you put your clothes on, what are those things down there?
Don't you know what they are? You're weird. These are my family jewels. Those are jewels? Yeah, they're incredibly precious. You've got precious jewels. Amazing.
Yeah. And everyone's just going, oh my goodness. They're just like, can you take them off so we can see them?
Like, you trying to kill me?
Trying to kill me, yeah. After everything that's happened, some much needed levity.
It's really funny. Like, I think, again, it allows Luffy to be silly as well because he had 3 days to think about things. Like, he's determined, but he's not like angry at everything.
Yeah.
So it helps the pacing. They were like, oh, here's your clothes. The ones you were wearing were all torn up. So I made you a new outfit just like the old one. It's like, oh, hey, thanks. And he puts it on. It's like, oh, yeah, I added flowers and frills because, everything should be cute.
Poor Luffy. Like, his whole face, he's just like, what the?
I'm a man. That freaks him out. And I immediately, like, as soon as he screams out, it's like, hey, there's his true nature. He's an animal. He just like shouts and yells.
Both pointed at him.
That proves that our kinds are completely incompatible. And Sweet Pea's like, I feel sorry for him. It's like, wait, you saved my life? What happened? You have to tell me. Well, you ate that mushroom that would have killed you. So if Marguerite hadn't found you and rescued you, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Thanks. Sorry I complained about the clothes. Can you not shoot me now? And they're like, no, we have to kill you because this is Amazon Lily, the empire of women. Men are forbidden. So, what? That law has never been broken.
Apparently in all of their history.
You got Marguerite, Sweet Pea, and Alphalandra, the really, really tall one.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I got to kill him for your sakes. If the Snake Princess were here, she would punish those responsible for the incident as well. You'd be condemned for the crime of bringing a man to the village. So better that he disappear now.
Right, yeah. Let's just bury it and forget.
Yeah. And the arrows get shot. He's like, hey, I got to go find my crew. So he kicks through the roof and escapes. And now they're all after him.
Fun detail, the bows are snakes, which is great.
Yeah. I completely missed that. That's amazing.
They're really committed to the theme. But yeah, Luffy's just, all right, kicks off the roof and starts running.
And it's like, hey, got to go after him. So Alphalandra, get him. And Luffy bounces off her chest because she blocks his way, which then like knocks him to the ground.
Yeah.
I'm sure the anime had a field day with that scene.
I'm sure.
It's like, oh wait, the Viva cards are in the pockets of my old pants. And he sees Marguerite, who fixed his clothes, and she's like, hey, I got to ask you something. So he grabs her and runs off with her. And he's like, oh crap, he kidnapped Marguerite.
Yeah, and it looks like he like bounces all the way up, like over like the giant mountain that the city is kind of enclosed in.
Yes, and then when he falls to the other side, he uses balloon to cushion Marguerite's fall.
Yeah. Then, he's just like, I love that Marguerite's just like, how did you suddenly get fat? Like, can all men do that?
It's like, you jump from there? You must be crazy. It's a miracle I survived. So, yeah, you men carry some kind of virus, so stay away. It's like, no. I don't feel like resplaying, so not all men are like me. But there's something in my pockets from the old pants. And she's like, oh, you this? It's like, yes, thank you. There's something written on it, so I kept it just in case. It's like, he just chose it off. And there was a big mess, and I got separated from my crew. So hey, we know that Rayleigh's okay with Kizaru. So there's that.
Yeah, he's fine.
And it's like, well, seems like all I could do is thank you. So is there anything I can do for you? Oh yes, can you take off your jewels so I can see them?
Yes.
Jeez. It's like, hey, you mentioned a crew earlier. Oh yeah, I'm a pirate. Do you know what pirates are? Oh, you a pirate? The Empress of Amazon Lily is a pirate too. Oh, there's a band of women pirates. Are they any good? Well, of course. They're only our finest warriors are allowed aboard the pirate ship. Of course they're strong. And that's when we learn, say, all the women of our nation look up to the Snake Princess. She's strong, proud, and the most beautiful woman in the world. The pirate empress Boa Hancock and her two sisters protect our nation.
Which I think we reacted a bit because this Boa Hancock got randomly mentioned at the end of Thriller Bark. We're just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Wasn't it as the most beautiful woman in the world, or?
I think they were comparing her to Lola.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she's as beautiful as the Empress Boa Hancock. And you're just like, who is that?
Yeah. So this is our second mention, and hey, turns out we're gonna meet her soon because her ship is on the way, and they're like, oh crap, we got to get rid of this Luffy before she gets here because she's returning. So we gotta find him.
I do kind of like the tension that this brings, where it's kind of like let's just not, like she wants to bury this whole man thing before it becomes a problem. Just get rid of him before she comes back.
Oh gosh, I mean, I think it's a fun start to the new arc.
Yeah, it really. I feel like much like how Thriller Bark after Enia's Lobby, it's just like we had a really, really dark and really serious kind of story, and we just kind of we got to bring the temperature down a little bit. But it's also, I forgot how hilarious the opening chapters of Amazon Lily are, and just it's of course it's very Luffy that he just, the second he arrives in any place, he just causes chaos.
And this is just because he's a man, but then he got, I love the fact that he's talking about parts stretching and the freaking jewels. It's dirty jokes, but they work.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's not too. Oh, and even of course, this is an island full of women all wearing like bikini armor, basically. But like, it's not too gratuitous, I don't think.
No, it doesn't feel like it's being sexed up for no reason. Yeah, it doesn't feel pervy. Like, yeah, Marguerite takes off her top when she's bathing Luffy, but it doesn't feel like it's leering on her at all. It's just
yeah. The cameraman's not getting all up in there. Good job.
No. Now, whether the anime pulled that off, I don't know.
Thank goodness Sanji wasn't here.
For sure. Oh, goodness. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 511 to 515 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. And we're just kind of ready to see where this goes. Like, I don't know, man. We're kind of in a new era. It feels like what is this? How are we gonna get everybody back together? Like, what happens now?
Exactly, and it's like, I am so excited to get through this and to just see everything that happens. And I guess just as a quick note, we were sort of timing it out, and if we're able to maintain our schedules and just keep things going at the rate that we've been going, theoretically, we should be able to catch up to where I left off in the manga by the end of this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's weird to me.
Yeah, we don't have that much left.
No. By 2025, I will be completely blind with the One Piece manga.
I feel like that's going to change the dynamic of the show a whole lot, or I'll just because it's just like, here are things that you might sort of remember, just maybe not in the order, or maybe, you forgot some details, but like once we get into the new stuff, it's like, you got no idea.
No, I get to theorize, and you get to be like, we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. Oh, I can't wait for us to get to that stuff. But of course, we still got about another 200 chapters of really, really good stuff before we get there. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah. And hey, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 516 to 520 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.